Thank you very much, Madam President. Good afternoon. I wasn't going to speak on this bill, but as this amendment becomes the bill, I'm just going to speak briefly. I want to thank Senator Berthel for going over this bill here on the floor of the Senate and also in great detail in our caucus. There's just some things, and I very much appreciate the passion of Senator McCrory, his leadership on the Education Committee. In fact, on some choice issues, he and I may disagree. But I'm not going to be able to vote for the amendment that becomes the bill, although we may end up voting on the amendment as a voice vote. But on the underlying bill, I'll be voting no. Recently, one of my largest town in my district, Enfield, was made an Alliance District town. Unfortunately, no matter what people back in North Central Connecticut believe, that means that at least on the test scores and the other inputs on the formulas, Enfield now is one of the lower performing school districts and therefore classified as an Alliance District. And a lot of people in Enfield felt that, oh, Alliance District, okay, we accept that, but hopefully we'll get additional funding from the state to remedy that situation and move ourselves up. The way it worked out, though, is apparently Enfield had been overfunded for a few years, and therefore becoming an Alliance District town merely meant that it was going to be held harmless. I think that if we're going to have an Alliance District program in the state of Connecticut, and it's sort of like counterintuitive because Alliance District sounds like you're tied into surrounding communities. You're not. It's just a name, and it was a name, and this whole thing came about under the Malloy administration. But it means a lower performing school district, unfortunately. And I think that there needs to be additional funding if you're going to be told as a community you need to do better based upon our state criteria. Otherwise, then you're robbing from Peter to pay Paul. You're taking from one part of your education budget to try to make up in another, or do you have to go to the town side of the budget and try to pull money that way? It's very confusing to the municipality who has to work their way through this, and at the same time you're told that you're almost sort of banished there for 5 years. So I think that this bill is a missed opportunity. I think there was a lot of things that could have been done here to rationalize this Alliance District program, maybe rename it as a challenge district or something like that. And for the state, especially in this year and into the future of having these bountiful resources pouring in, whether it's through federal aid that was higher than expected or inflation bringing in revenues higher than expected. But if we're going to make a commitment to communities that are underperforming, the state should be a financial partner as well as someone or an entity that is dictating what the municipalities must do. And that's not what we have here. There's not a single thing in here that I can see that affords Alliance Districts a way out in a more rationalized system, and especially financially. And hold harmless is nice. I'm not, biting a gift horse in the mouth or anything like that. I'm mixing my metaphors. But I think a lot of opportunity is missed here. I also see some unfunded mandates. I mean, I agree with Senator McCrory. School nurses are paramount. They are the go-to person in school systems for so many things. But again, I haven't had any of my constituents or any of my municipal leaders say they should get additional requirements for additional education. I'm not sure how that's all going to be paid for. And again, there's a limited pot of gold here for our communities. And I agree so wholeheartedly with Senator McCrory when he says it really does depend on the town, but you can't just look around our circle and say, oh, the Republican towns are necessarily affluent and the Democratic towns aren't. There's no one-to-one correlation like that at all. I do have some very affluent communities in North Central Connecticut, and obviously with Windsor Locks and Enfield and Windsor being Alliance Districts, I have communities that are struggling, or at least their education systems are struggling. And I'm the first one to stand here in the circle and say, hey, Windsor, one of the grapevines, 1633, First English Settlement, I am a product of the Windsor public school system. And when people say choice, that's great. My kids are going to, up here in North Central Connecticut, we're going to send them to Suffield Academy or Loomis Chaffee. That's not going to happen. And where's the other choice going to go? The only other choice schools, or only the schools up in my area, you have some magnet schools, charter schools, but just a handful, and some parochial schools that are going out of business there too, because people don't have money to send their kids to private schools. The very affluent do, but regular middle-class folks, they're having a hard time just keeping a roof over their head and food on the table. So we need a financial commitment to our education system. That's not what this bill is all about. Luckily, we're going to get the ECS and all of that straightened out in our money bills. But when it comes to this bill, I agree with Senator Berthel. There's some really good ideas in here, but there's enough bad ideas or unfulfilled dreams in here that I'm going to have to vote no. Again, a missed opportunity through no criticism of the leadership of the Education Committee. You had hundreds of bills brought forward before you. You had to pick and choose, put them all together. But I can't have unfunded mandates on my communities, no matter the laudable goals. And I can't have more programs where more bureaucracy is being foisted upon our towns. What do we need in education? I'll tell you what I think we need. We need more paraprofessionals. We need more teachers in special education. We need to let the teachers do why they wanted to become these education professionals. Let them teach. If there has to be so much period of the day that has to be focused on the tests, oh, so be it. But all these other things that we are dumping into the school systems, we got to stop doing that. We need to have administrators that stand up for the teachers, especially when it comes to disciplinary matters. And I hate to say it, but it's a two-part street when it comes to responsibility. And we need parents, moms and dads, and the other guardians of our young people to discipline them so that they have respect when they go into the school systems themselves. We can't dump it all into the laps of the teachers, and when the teachers, if for no other reason to keep peace in their classrooms and protect the health and safety of the other students, they don't get the backing of the administrators, it's all broken. And you wonder why young people don't want to go into education, and you wonder why seasoned professionals are leaving. We need a rationalized system where reading, writing, and arithmetic are the primary goals. Education first and foremost. All the other stuff can come second. And yes, the pandemic is having a lasting effect on the feelings of our young people. How would it feel if some of the best years of your life as a child, growing up in society, in the school systems, all of a sudden you're being pulled in, pulled out, told to isolate at home because one kid in your class happened to get COVID? You're walking around the school system when you finally get to go back wearing a mask. You can't even tell what's on the other person's face. Maybe you're one of the little kids and you can't even tell how to make friends. You can't even learn how to purse your lips to articulate words or form vowels. All of that is lingering. When I talk to my boards, when I talk to my parents, we're still, in this building, we had a little scare of COVID and all of a sudden we all have to take tests or walk around this floor with masks. Well, it's nice when you have that unilateral authority to make those decisions. But we don't have that anymore in our school system, yet we have the results of what I feel was an experiment gone awry in overreacting and not reacting properly to the school system, where we're going to have remnants and vestiges of those bad policies going on for years and years to come, even regarding children that just graduated, let alone the ones that are still in our school systems. And on the parades that I just went through, I had Board of Education members saying, hey, we're trying to tap into these programs. Didn't you pass programs for mental health for the kids? And I don't know where the disconnect is. I have to go hunting that down now too. Because I said, we just passed millions and millions of dollars for mental health programs for our young people. And I have people in my town saying, where is it? What's the pipeline? Why does this have to be so complicated? So I'm a little bummed today because I think that we missed a great opportunity with this bill. And it's a lot of all this other stuff that's like fringes and fancy stuff on the outside and all this other stuff. No, it's about fundamentals. The grades in our state are less than stellar. And over the last decade, they have not gone up. And if you classify a school system as underperforming, help it out. Don't just brand it. Talk is cheap. That's why I can't support this bill, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kissel. Will